Hello everyone, in this video we are going to learn about including other URL configuration. So let's begin the topic. If you want to utilize your project on many Django based app, you should think about structuring your URL configuration so that include is possible. And at any time, your URL configuration can include additional URL configuration module. Keep one thing in mind that the dollar symbol should not be included at the end of the string match character when creating a URL using the regular expression, but always include the trailing slash. Basically, whenever Django encounter with an include method, it chops off whatever part of the URL matched up to the point and send the remaining string to the included URL configuration for the further processing. So we understand this topic with the help of example. So I show you the example first. So here I create a project with the name login system and two apps inside it. The first one is buyer and the second one is seller. In the previous videos, you have seen that we are creating a project with one app only. But in this case, we are going to create a project with two apps. So firstly, I open my login system, or you can say that your project directory, and inside it I have a file with the name urls.py. So I open this file and define the URL. So here you can see that I use the repath method and the path method for defining the URL of a buyer and the seller. Here you can see we are including other URL configuration module. By this I mean that we include the URL of two apps, buyer and seller, using the include method. And you can also see that I am using the regular expression in the buyer URL that points to include method, so we don't have to use the dollar symbol at the end, but we have to use this trailing slash. So I conclude this. Here we are including the path of the two apps which I have created. The first is including the path of the buyer's URL file, and the next one is including the path of the seller.url file. So now we move to the buyer's app. Firstly, we will discuss this. So I need a model for the buyer registration. For this reason, I open the models.py file which is located inside the buyer directory. So I open this and here I create a model class named as buyer register, and it consists of a field such as name, which is a character field having a maximum length of 100. The next one is username. It is also a character field. It has a maximum length of 8. The third one is email, and for this I use the email field method. And the last one is password, and this is also a character field and it has a maximum length 10. And in last we return object as a buyer name. So after that I also need a form for registering the buyer. So for this reason I create a file inside the buyer directory named as a forms.py, and in this I create a model form. So here I create a model form having a name buyer registration form, and inside it I define a class meta which have a model name buyer register and field equals to double underscore all double underscore, which mean that it have all the fields of the model class also. Then we need to define the logic for the registration of the buyer. So I move to the views.py file, as we know that all the logic is consisted in the views.py file. So now I import the necessary library first. I need a create view and the template view. So I import this first, and then I need a model which is a buyer register. So I import this one also. Then I create a view. So I create a subclass with the name buyer create and I extend it with the class create view. Then I define the model name as buyer register and the field as double underscore all double underscore, which creates the view for buyer registration. And after that I add a success underscore URL attribute which override it and move to the message slash path when we successfully submit the form. And then I define the message subclass and I extend it with the template view. And after that I override it with the template underscore name and I define the name of the template as message.html. So after defining the subclass of the create view and the template view, we need it to map with an URL file located in the app directory. So I create a file urls.py and I open this file. I import the both the generic views which I created and here I add the URL pattern. So you can see that I add pattern for the buyer create and message with as underscore view method. So here I write path as a register and it ends with the slash and here I add a path as a register slash message and it also ends with the slash. So now I am going to discuss the template which is used for the front end of the buyer. For this reason, I create a folder with the name templates and inside it I create a folder having a name buyer. As you know that when we are dealing with the generic views, the create view, list view, delete view, all the views automatically search for their HTML files. So these files are located inside the template folder and inside the template folder it searches for the folder with the same name of the app. So we have a name of the app buyer. So it search for the buyer folder inside the template. So I create a subfolder with the name buyer and inside it I create a HTML file with the name buyer register underscore form.html. As you know that we are using the create view. For this reason it search for the file having a name model underscore form.html. So here our model name is buyer register. So here I create a file with the name buyer register underscore form.html and inside this file I create a form. And firstly I use the h1 heading which shows that it is a form regarding the buyer registration and then I start the form with the post method. Then I use the CSRF underscore token for the security purpose and then I render the form as a table. Here you can see that I start the table tag and inside the table tag I use the form dot as underscore table tag of a Django which render the form as a table. And in last I create a button for submitting the form. So with this we create the form.html file which is used for by the create view. So after that we also need a message.html file. As you can see here in the message subclass I override the template underscore name to the message.html. So I create a message.html file, but note one thing, this file is located inside the template folder, not inside the app folder. So I create this file in the template folder with the name message.html file. It only prints successfully registered. So now we will move to the next app which we created with the name seller. So I open this app. Similarly, I also need a model for this app also. For this reason, I move to the models.py file which is located inside the seller app. So I open this file. Here I create a model class name as a seller register. It has field, name, username, email and a password, and in return it returns the object as a name of the seller. After that, I also need a form for registration of the seller. So we need to create a file with the name forms.py. I create a file with the names form.py inside the seller directory. I open this file and here I create a model form. So I create a form with the name seller register form, and firstly I import the library which is necessary. So I import the models having the name seller register. Then I define the meta class inside it having an attribute model and fields which is assigned as seller register and double underscore all double underscore respectively. So with this it means that this form have all the fields of the model seller register. Then we need a logic for constructing a registration of the seller. So I move to the views.py file. I open this and here I create a logic for registration of the seller. So firstly I import the create view and the template view and the model seller register. So I create a view. So first subclass I created is a seller create and I extend it with the create view, and then I override it with the model name seller register fields double underscore all double underscore, and on the successfully submission of the form it moves to the message. And then I create a subclass with name message. I extend it with the template view and I override it with the template underscore name attribute, and I again assign this template underscore name to the message.html file. So after that we need a template for the front view. So I again move to the template folder which I create, and inside it I create a subfolder with the name seller. This time I have to create a HTML files for the seller. So I create a seller subfolder and inside it I create a file with the name seller register underscore form.html. This file is created because here I use the create view, and you all know that by default create view automatically search for the file having a name model underscore form.html. So here you can see that our model name is seller register. So I create a file with the name seller register underscore form.html. I open this file. Here I start the heading h1 and write it as a seller registration. So you know that this is a seller registration form. Then I use the csrf underscore token of a Django for the security purpose, and after that I start the table tag of the HTML, and inside it I render the form as a table by using the form.as underscore table tag of a Django, and in last I include the submit button. By clicking on it we successfully submit the form, and again I use the same message.html file for the message subclass. So I don't explain you this file again. Now I execute my code, but make sure as we are dealing with forms we have to make migrations first. So you all know that for making migrations we use the two commands python manage.py make migrations and python manage.py migrate. So now I execute this code by typing a command python manage.py run server. Now I will show you the output. So after successful execution, the run server command give this in a output. You can see that it shows the page having an error 404. This error is occur because the path is not matching any of these given path. So firstly I am going to deal with the buyer app. So here you can see that in second position it shows that you have to enter the buyer. So I write slash buyer and slash and hit on a enter. So when I hit, it moves to the next page and now it again shows us the error 404. So this time we have to extend this buyer by adding a path as a register slash. So when I hit on this, it will move to the buyer registration form. So we have to enter the name of the buyer. So the name of the buyer here is a Jack and the username for this is a Jack45 and the email ID of the Jack I entered as a jack@gmail.com. And next we have to enter the password. So here the password is visible as I enter, as it doesn't apply any restrictions on this. So I enter a password. After entering the details successfully, I click on this submit button. Whenever I click on this submit button, it automatically moves to the message path and it shows the message successfully registered. So with this, we understand about the buyer part. Now, similarly, we have a seller part. For this, I again move to the main home page and show you. Here you can see that we have also a seller. So now this time I extend this URL by entering the seller slash as a path. So I hit enter. It again moved to the page having an error 404 and it shows that the current part seller doesn't match any of the string. So I extend this path by entering a register and in last I end it with the trailing slash. When I hit, it moves to the seller registration form. This time I have to enter the name of the seller. The name of the seller is Eva. Its username is Eva789 and the email address of Eva is eva@gmail.com and I enter password as ASTF. So I again doesn't apply any restriction on the password. That's why it is visible. Now after entering the details, I click on this submit button. When I click on this submit button, it automatically moves to the message path and shows the output as a successfully registered. So with this, we have learned including other URL configurations and in the next video, we will learn how to capture parameters work with include method.